Hello, everybody. Welcome into the NBA Front Office Show. I'm Trevor Lane, and I'm joined, as always, by Keith Smith. Keith, happy September. A nice, quiet day around the NBA. Nothing really happening. No big deal. Let's just kind of hang back, relax, and we'll just talk about some nice casual topics today.
Yeah, I have like no shortage of things I need to. It's all like catch up work. It's like that stuff you just kind of set to the side, and it's like I'll get to it when I get to it. It's not major stuff. Like, and that was my plan. Was over the next couple of days, I'm just going to do that. Well, the league it has other plans for
Curveball.
us other than that. So yeah, the big
Let's do it.
story of the morning. Like I woke up. I'm not kidding. 10 messages about this morning between texts and DMs and then Slack messages about what's going on with Kawhi and the Clippers.
Yeah, so there is a report out there from Pablo Torre, who did a bit of an investigation into the Clippers, and the allegation is that the Clippers effectively circumvented the salary cap to pay Kawhi Leonard under the table through another company, a tree planting company that this was funded by Steve Balmer and ultimately netted Kawhi Leonard $28 million. And the reason why it was found out was because this tree planting company went bankrupt, and then their who they still owe money to became public knowledge, and that came out. He even interviewed a former employee of that company who said that they were specifically told that Kawhi Leonard didn't really do any promotional work for them, that it was that he was on their payroll in order to circumvent the NBA salary cap. So first and foremost, Keith, because we're going to spend some time on what happens, what's going to happen here for the NBA, what if it is true, and where this all goes from here. First and foremost, Keith, let me say, I hope this is all 100% false. I hope that this is a mistake and it turns out to not be true, because this is a path, a rabbit hole that the NBA doesn't want to go down. We don't want to go down. This is not, this could be, if this turns out to be true, Keith, this is going to be the case that we're talking about a decade from now as the example being set here.
Yeah, a lot of our audience is probably young, or at least we're too young to really fully grasp. But
Joe
the
Smith.
closest thing we've had to this, was Joe Smith with the Timberwolves. And what that was found to be a little bit different. Wasn't necessarily that he was being paid under the table or off the books or off the cap. It was the Timberwolves and Joe Smith had pre-agreed to, we're going to do a contract where it is we're going to re-sign multiple years in a row, and then they will then when I have bird rights, you'll give me this contract.
It's like
and
a wink thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You can't do that. So what ultimately happened in this case was the NBA, this was 25 years ago, when this ultimately came down, was after the 2000 season, was that they took away 5 first-round picks. They did give 2 of them back later. They fined the team $3.5 million, which was the maximum allowed at the time. They voided Smith's contract for the season with the Timberwolves. And then, in a very unprecedented move, which was fought very hard by the Players Association, they took away Smith's bird rights from the prior 2 seasons, basically saying, hey, this whole deal from the beginning was illegal. Like, none of this was okay. Then Glenn Taylor, the owner of the Wolves, got, I believe it was a year-long suspension. And then Kevin McHale was forced to take basically a year-long leave of absence from the team. The Wolves, they went on to have a couple good seasons, including making the 2004 conference finals, I believe. I believe that was against your Lakers. That was the deepest they ever went with Kevin Garnett.
KG, Sam Cassell, the Troy Hudson used to kill us. Years.
Latrell Sprewell, I think, was maybe on that team too. So really good Wolves team. But after that, it was seen as like, man, they're not going to have picks. It's going to be rough. And things obviously a few years later, Kevin Garnett was traded, and that's, off we went from there. So that was seen at the time as like the NBA cracking down as hard as they ever had on a team with, hey, you're like, you cannot do this. Here's the unfortunate thing. That was 25 years ago. So it's not really like, well, we have precedent on this. I mean, we kind of do, but there were, I think, only 29. I think the Bobcats were maybe just starting. So, like, there just weren't, like, it was just a
It's a
completely
different world.
different league back then. So we're in a spot where, I'm sorry, the Bobcats hadn't started. We're at 29 teams. So we're just a different world. Closest we've seen recently is tampering charges, where they've
Yeah.
taken away some second round picks. But obviously, tampering and cap circumvention are two completely different things.
Yeah, I mean, even if we're trying to compare it to the Joe Smith thing, even if we do say that that's the closest direct comparison, a wink, wink, hey, we're gonna pay you more later is to me not nearly as bad as we're actively paying you under the table to
Yeah.
convince you to sign with our team and get around the salary cap. I mean, I guess first and foremost, Keith, before we just because there is going to be a guilty before presumed innocent,
Oh, always.
element
Yeah.
to this, and we're already seeing it take place across
Yeah.
social media discourse. The NBA will have to do their own investigation. They will have to dig into this, and if this turns out to be true, then they will get to the point of some kind of a punishment. But to me, this situation is the worst we've seen in terms of salary cap circumvention. I I can't even imagine what the punishment would be for this. But I mean, you mentioned the contract for Joe Smith was voided. Like, if the NBA finds that this is all 100% factual, that the Clippers circumvented the salary cap, like, there's a lot. I mean, in terms of first round picks and everything, that obviously can come into play. Fines, suspensions, all of that. But Keith, Kawhi Leonard might not be a Clipper, right? If that's the way this goes, they could potentially void the contract. Like, this could get extremely messy, and this could be a punishment unlike anything we have ever seen. If, again, huge if this turns out to be true.
Yeah, and this was so Ben, let's reference where all this came from. Pablo Torre did
Yes.
this deep investigation into this, and I believe this is his second time diving into this topic. In the first time around, the NBA said, "Look, we didn't find anything. We found no evidence of cap circumvention or anything like that. And if something comes out later, we'll reopen the investigation and we'll look at it." So now we're in a position where with this, the Clippers provided a statement to Pablo Torre saying
Mhm.
basically didn't happen. And this
Right.
is there you've got the quote from Mark Stein saying provably false. So fairly strong language, like we can prove that
Provably.
this isn't
Great.
true.
Yeah.
Um to your point of, all right, so let's kind of take it step by step here. So let's assume probably fines. Well, the max fine right now is $4.5 million. The
Okay.
CBA does have language around cap circumvention. And I want to be very careful with the
Mhm.
way I say these things, because one of the things is there's a fine laid out up to $4.5 million. There's a potential forfeiture of a draft pick. There is the potential for voided contracts. The CBA also has good of the game clauses, which is basically that's how you cover, hey, this went beyond anything we thought to talk about and when we negotiated this, and we're going to have to go. So what that means is whatever punishment gets handed down beyond fines, the NBPA will fight with the league on this.
Mhm.
One, because that's what they're supposed to do. So if it is Kawhi's contract is voided, his current deal, which for reference pays him 50 million this season, I think is the number. Let's make sure
I'll
we get
pull it
that
up right now.
correct. Um,
Uh,
yeah, 50
yes, it's
million
50
this year.
million on the nose.
Yeah, 50.3 next year. So if they say we're voiding the contract, well, the NBPA is going to fight for their player, right? They're going to
Of course.
fight that. Hey, you can't do that. Like, this is not like where are we going with this? Why would the NBPA care about the draft pick forfeiture? Well, that's potentially, let's say they did 5 again. That's 5 less guys who get a first round rookie scale deal. They're
Mhm.
not players in the league right now, obviously, but they're fighting for the future of their guys. So it just becomes very messy. Now, a couple people have commented, well, the Clippers don't have picks to give up. They do. Stepping rule goes out the window here. Stepping rule is a trade thing. That is not a you must have a pick every other year. The league could take picks away if they want to. So they could take picks away. They do have some picks that they own in the out years. The other thing is the way the rules are written is draft picks can't be traded more than 7 years out. As far as I know, I'd have to dive into the operations manual, which covers more of this than the CBA does. They might be able to take away picks way down the line, where they could say, hey, we're taking away a 2035 pick because of this, because those are really around trade rules, which is really around, hey, we don't want a team mortgaging their entire future decades out on these things. So
that doesn't apply to punishments.
Yeah, in this case, we don't really know where the league would go. One thing I will say, I am very curious to see, and a lot of people have called out on social media, well, it's Adam Silver. He won't do anything. He's not as tough on this stuff as David Stern, which conveniently forgets he's forced 2 owners to sell their teams, including the owner of the Clippers, which is about as harsh a penalty as you could levy on a team and an owner. But Adam Silver works for the owners. The owners don't work for him. They don't work for the NBA. He works for the owners. And if the other owners are like, hey, we're like, slap him on the wrist with this, that's probably going to be how it goes down, because you could have a situation where other ownership groups are like, we don't really want people diving into our books.
Yeah, that was the next thing I was going to get to.
It's kind of like tampering, right? In a way where it's like, none of us really throw up a huge red flag on tampering because we all do it. It's more when you're dumb about it. It's like, yeah, we arranged for a guy to do a sign and trade, and we broke it 2 minutes into the free agency window being open. Like, obviously, you did not negotiate that within 2 minutes. So those are the things where I kind of wonder, where does this go if it goes anywhere?
Yeah, is this that was, I think, the bigger, beyond this, it's beyond just the Clippers and Kawhi. It's was Balmer the only one potentially doing this? The Clippers the only ones doing this, or were they just the ones who got caught doing it? That's, I think, the interesting question here. Now,
I mean, Trevor, we see all the time, player signs a contract with a team, and then the team gives a big donation to the player's charity of choosing, whether it's their personal charity or it's a other thing. And nobody wants to be the ones who start throwing up red flags. And I certainly hope that money is going to those charities, because I don't want to get in any position where like we're using charitable funds in a bad way. Like, that's just not a world I want to live in. Right. Like I don't want to, and I'm not naive, right? I understand bad stuff happens, like things, people do bad things through charities all the time. I get it. But like, hopefully those are all on the level. But those are the kind of things that like, well, where's that money going? What's happening with that and all this stuff. And I've seen some suggestions of, well, it's just an endorsement deal. And my whole thing is with this is it's like, it isn't though, because you can't, the CBA is very, very specific that players cannot draw money from a team or from the ownership group for things that aren't related to playing basketball. If he wants to do an endorsement deal with, I don't know, who did Kawhi used to be? Sprite, I think. And
New Balance he did.
Like 100, those are fine. That's no issue. And I get it. It gets very messy because, well, does Steve Ballmer not own any shares of New Balance? Like, how does that work? I mean, I get it. Those things get very messy, but this seems to be Pablo Torre found a very direct link and has people on the record saying like, not like wasn't here, didn't work here. This was what like provided documents that say this is what he was paid for and all these things. Just very, very odd situation.
Yeah, this is like I said, this is not going to be resolved tomorrow.
Yeah.
But this is pretty unprecedented. This is something that we're going to be monitoring here as we move forward. The penalties for this could be staggering. We don't know though. Like I said, this is as much as we want to look at the Joe Smith situation, this is somewhat uncharted territory here for the NBA, obviously for the Clippers, for Steve Ballmer. And Keith, I just want to kind of put a bow on this. We're talking about something I talked about on the basketball bulletin that, this is, we look at, I need to stop calling it the new collective bargaining agreement, but we look at the current collective bargaining agreement, and you look at the shift, right, from the old CBA, which was if you overspend, we're going to go after your wallet. Okay. And that was, and that I think they came upon the realization that Steve Ballmer's wallet is impervious. We cannot hurt him. He has too much money. He's got many times more than the next closest NBA owner. So instead, we need to, in order to curtail spending and not allow any team to just spend their way to success, we need to target your ability to build out the roster. That's something that we can actually hurt. And we're seeing that in this CBA. And so the spirit of it is we talk about parity around the league and all those things, and that's true. But also, I think it wrapped up in this, the spirit of this CBA is to limit the competitive advantage involved with your owner having more money.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're the NBA and you've got an owner, maybe there's others, I don't know, but if you've got an owner who is using their immense wealth to circumvent those restrictions that would, in theory, at least try to level the playing field to some degree. Having more money is always going to have some kind of advantage. But if he's finding a way around those penalties and circumventing that cap, that's a big problem. Not just in terms
of... you can't have that.
Yeah, exactly. It's not even just a, Kawhi in this situation thing. It's the spirit of what the NBA is trying to accomplish that this will be going against if this is proven to be true.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe the NBPA is like, great, let's go there. But then you're talking about, why do we even have a salary cap at all?
Yes.
What's the point, right? Like, if people can start paying guys outside of it, what difference does it make? Just, get rid of the whole thing. So it starts to become very, very messy with that. I think what's funny is a lot of people had I think a misunderstanding. Some of the ownership groups that wanted the stiffer penalties were some of the richer ownership groups. We're like, hey, put handcuffs on us, right? Like we won't stop. So you need to put restrictions in place, put things that keep us from getting there. Some of the smaller market groups are some of the ones that are like, whoa, wait a minute. Mm-hmm. Like we have to draft and develop. Now you're telling me drafting and developing really still is going to make us too expensive to then build the rest of the roster. It got very, contentious with some of this stuff. But yeah, I mean, if you put rules in place and then people are like, yeah, cool, but I'm just going to go around them, that can't happen. So yeah, personal opinion, if they have proof of this and this did happen and the league finds out, you have to very harshly punish the Clippers. The maximum 100%. Fines, you have to take draft picks away, voiding the contract. Maybe I personally don't love that one because that kind of hurts the player. But if the player was involved, I don't really care too much that you did something you probably knew you shouldn't have done too. So, and then we go. But yeah, I mean, this is now a story until it isn't, right? Until
Absolutely.
The league either, says there's nothing here or, we need to dive deeper into this.
Well, and I mean, if we think back to when Kawhi initially signed with the Clippers, there was that set, if you remember the time, now part of this may be because I was looking at things through a Lakers lens, but there was that sense okay, Kawhi's going to the Lakers. This is probably going to happen. There were different reports. And then it became, Magic Johnson leaked some stuff that he shouldn't have, and it came out, or whoever leaked information. And that was kind of a test from Kawhi. And, and then the Lakers weren't able to keep this information secretive. And so now he's going to the Clippers, and the Clippers are able to pull off this deal for Paul George. And that swayed Kawhi as well and all of that. But there was always that, the Clippers did something that got Kawhi to go, okay. And maybe it was Paul George. Maybe he didn't like the way the Lakers handled things, whatever it was. Maybe the Raptors did. Remember, they were still in the running too. For years, even if this is proved to be false, there are people that are going to point to this and say the Clippers did something underhanded, and that's what caused Kawhi to pick them.
I mean, people still believe that the draft lottery is rigged.
Yes.
Even though there's multiple media members in there who have no reason to be a part of a cover-up story that would love to break the story that, the draft lottery is rigged. It's just people love conspiracy theories, and regardless, there's going to be people that believe this happened or whatever it is. But what a crazy thing to come out on a random. I keep wanting to say Tuesday morning.
I don't even know what day it is.
It's Wednesday because we had the holiday on Monday, so I'm all off now.
It's got me thrown off too.
I think people know at this point, I struggle all summer because I am very dependent on the school and work schedule for my daughter and wife that like I know what day of the week it is. But yeah, so just well, what a crazy way to maybe early
Bonkers.
September news in the NBA.
And by the way, happy September, everybody. And you know
Yeah.
what that means, Keith? We are in the month of NBA training camps.
There
Let's
it is.
go. Finally.
Real games next month. Let's
Goodbye,
go.
August. Wake me up when September ends, but not when it like a week before September ends. Then wake me up. Let's go.
For me.
Our presenting sponsor, Sleeper, is the best way to experience and connect over sports together. It's a one-stop shop for all your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat on games in real time with other users. Get the fastest scores, blazing fast news, and alerts right at your fingertips. Play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests so you can enjoy sports the way they were meant to. Together. Download the #1 sports app today. Use the link in the description down below. I made a few picks here over on Sleeper's picks section. Again, use our promo code CAPSPACE. You get a $100 deposit match up to $100. I went, since we've got the NFL season kicking off, I went Dak Prescott, kind of a free square here, over half a passing yard. More than that, I feel pretty strongly about that one there. More than 96.5 rushing yards for Saquon Barkley, and then more than a touchdown, one touchdown at any time for Kyren Williams with the Rams. If you agree, you guys can follow along. Go check it out. Sleeper, again, use the link in the description down below, and you get a $100 deposit match up to $100 when you use our code CAPSPACE. Go check it out.
Media Day and all that.
For Media Day. Yep, exactly. Yep. Exactly.
Yep.
All right.
Only a few weeks out.
Let's move on to some less.
Let's talk some hoops.
Stories here. Brotherly love in Milwaukee. Giannis and Thanasis. So we go from circumvention to nepotism, perhaps here. But
is it nepotism? I don't like. Does nepotism work for brothers, or is that only for kids? I don't know what the actual definition would be. Brotherism? I don't know.
I don't. I mean, how many jobs did Johnny Chase get just because of Vince? Right.
Good point. Yeah.
Just
well,
saying,
he was a chef, right? That was his official.
He was his chef and his personal trainer, right? Yeah. But Giannis Antetokounmpo sees his brother Thanasis join the team. Now, the big key, the most important thing here is not that Giannis Antetokounmpo is getting a minimum contract with the Milwaukee Bucks. It's not even
good for him.
Yeah, fantastic, fantastic. I mean, people know him as a good guy, right? But the important thing here is that this is the strongest sign that Giannis is staying with the Milwaukee Bucks, at least for this coming season.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think Zach Lowe covered this well for now, right? And it's who knows where this comes. I made the point on a radio spot earlier in the day today of, hey, if the Bucks struggle early in the year and then it turns into like they're not doing what they should do, and a team's like, hey, Giannis wants to trade. Well, guess what? The Nats is on a minimum. You could just kind of toss him into a trade with very little problem. And it's, all right, we're moving off together. We'll drive the U-Haul together to the new place, which obviously would not be how that goes down. But, they will road trip it together. But, I think this is a sign of, hey, if we're Milwaukee, he wants his brother on the team. The chances of the 15th man on a standard contract really coming into play are pretty low. So, let's go. We're going to be good. We'll have them ready to go. And then, there it is. So I think now we're in a spot with Giannis where I think this is also good of, all right, it's done. Like now we can move on. He's going to be on the Bucks to open the year. I think you and I had already landed in that spot anyway. Only a few weeks out from, I'll say training camp, but really it's training camp's like the beginning part of October, very end of this month. But it's now is when outside of the guys who are playing, international ball, guys will start filtering back into the home markets. Because a lot of it is, especially if their families live with them in the home market, school has started, kids are back. So they're back. They're going to the gym. I know I was talking to a couple teams and like, we've already got like over half of the rosters here every day, working out and playing pickup. And that's just how it goes during the course of this month.
Yeah, guys start filtering back into those home markets again, unless they're playing in EuroBasket right now, which Giannis is, and a number of players are. But
Thanasis.
So again, strongest indication, but that doesn't mean that everything is all great in Milwaukee with Giannis long term. But it's a good sign that obviously we're not gonna get tomorrow. Giannis says, "Hey, I'm out," trade me or
Very
anything
unlikely.
like that. Mid-season, maybe that changes. Maybe next summer that changes. And Bucks fans, that's not what we're rooting for here.
No,
It's not what we're pushing for. I know Bucks. I have seen so many Bucks fans across social media all summer that have been making the claim that the media wants Giannis out of Milwaukee. I don't care if he leaves Milwaukee or not. I'd prefer that he stays. I mean, I'd like to see a guy stay with an entire team or with a team for his entire career. I'd like to see that.
I want him to go end with the Bucks. Yeah. No. Like I'm not even gonna pretend otherwise. Like I would love to see him, play with Milwaukee his whole career.
And if he doesn't play with Milwaukee this whole career, Giannis, just stay out of the West. Enough already. Enough already with all this talent just flooding into the Western Conference. Anyway, that's a gripe for another day. All right. PJ Washington, an extension with the Dallas Mavericks. I thought it was interesting. Shams Charania, this was his post on it, said Dallas Mavericks forward PJ Washington has agreed to a 4-year, $90 million contract extension with the franchise. Washington secures a new deal that keeps him in Dallas through 2029-2030. Does it? But does it though?
It does for this whole season.
It does for this season. But into the future, I think, first of all, I think this is fine value-wise, but I also think this is a very tradable number, this contract. Now, obviously, for this season, he's with the Mavericks. He can't be traded. All of that because his extension is such that it would not allow him. Basically, when he would be trade eligible, would be past the trade deadline.
Yeah, so
that's
let's
the important
quick educational moment. When you extend beyond the extended trade parameters, which means you can have a total of up to 4 years, you can add 3 new years onto your existing contract. In that, and then you can get raises that are up to a certain amount. Washington went beyond both of those. He went beyond the years because he added 4 new years and he went the full 140%. It wouldn't be me if I didn't take a little umbrage here. It's not 90, it's like 88 million and change. So let's just, but hey, whatever, round up to 90, it's fine.
It sounds better.
I'm not picking at the reporting at all, just being accurate. I've laid it out on my Twitter timeline, but yeah, and you're absolutely right. That 6-month no trade, that'll lift in the beginning of March because presumably this will get signed today, tomorrow, whenever. And then that's past the trade deadline. Trade deadline this year, February 5th. Is when the trade deadline will be.
Yeah. So, but overall, Keith, the value on this deal for PJ Washington, I think it's just fine. I think this Mavs team is loaded on the wings. And so that's why I look at this and think, they could wind up flipping, especially as Cooper Flag gets his legs under him and all of that. But value-wise, I don't mind this contract at all. I think this will be this is a solid deal for the Mavs moving forward. And I think a solid deal for PJ Washington. Now, what I'm curious about, though, is because this is, what's the average annual value? $22.5 million per year here. Does this become the number that the Bulls, the Warriors, this feels like right around where those clubs right now are kind of hovering with Josh Giddey, with Jonathan Kuminga? Does this just cement their position and not bumping up that, like, hey, PJ Washington got 22.5.
Sure.
This is the going rate for a starting caliber wing in the NBA. And then on the flip side, do you see Josh Giddey say, oh, but he's better than PJ Washington, so he should get more? Like, does this have any impact on the Kuminga and Giddey situations at all?
Yeah, and I was just looking it up. So Kuminga is 27. Josh Giddey's far younger. He's only 23. So you got a pretty good difference there. Let's see. Kuminga is got to be at least, same. Oddly, Kuminga and Giddey almost have the same birthday too. So 4 years different. So I think those guys would be like, all right, hey, if he's worth 22, I want 25 or more.
I've got more upside, right?
Yeah, and we've kind of heard that's a little bit of the sticking point. If I'm their agents too, especially with Josh Giddey, I'd be like, hey, wait a minute. He was arguably your best player last year in Chicago. Like, see, we don't know what's going to happen with Kobe White. We don't know what's going to happen with Vooch. Buzelis, we like him, but still unproven. Like, see the guy you're building around? That's worth more money. The Kuminga situation, we're going to get to more on him in a moment,
Yeah.
is still just very messy. So I think that one becomes a little, where are we going with that one? So that's where I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, I think it's I think you're spot on there though, where like, okay, we set a little bit of a baseline, right? Like there. The one thing for me with Dallas is you now extended both Gafford and Washington this offseason. You have AD, you have Derek Lively, you have Cooper Flagg. That's 5 guys for 2 front court spots. They're gonna play Flagg at small forward a lot, but most people are like, his best NBA position will ultimately be power forward.
I think
That
it was
to me
Stein
says,
had him even playing the 2 at times.
yeah, I think is gonna be the little. You're just not gonna have enough shooting on the floor.
Yeah.
I mean, in there saying like he may run the offense. Yeah, run the offense in terms of he gets the ball and gets it to AD or whatever. But
Yeah.
and I think that's great for him long term, and I think that's awesome, and that's good forward thinking from them. But this tells me we're gonna see some trades in Dallas out of that front court depth, and it's probably going to be. It's not going to be Washington this year, but maybe Gafford, who is trade eligible this year, maybe Washington next off season. Maybe they're going to be like, you know what, Derek Lively's just not the guy we're going to lock into long term because he has had some injuries already this year. Who in his career rather. Let's see where that goes. But yeah, a lot of forward sized guys and a couple centers in this Mavs rotation, and not a lot of guard depth there.
Yeah, agreed. So, but overall, I think good deal, and I think I'm movable. If they do decide to make tweaks, next summer, PJ Washington is not a guy to look at and say, oh man, they're never going to be able to move that deal.
19 million next year, no issue with that. That'd be that's fine. I mean, that's like MLE plus, a bit. So yeah, no issue. Speaking of guard depth, if we want to go to the Mavs, stay with the Mavs. Dante Exum back now, officially back on a minimum deal with Dallas, as was expected. It had been reported forever ago, and a lot of people were like, why did this take so long? Well, they didn't have room under their second apron hard cap, which was triggered when they signed D'Angelo Russell using the full taxpayer MLE. They triggered that second apron hard cap, and they didn't have room to fit Exum in on a minimum deal. So now that's done. How they got there? They tried to trade Olivier Maxence Prosper, or Prosper, if you really want to go all French with it. But he, so he gets he got
apologize to any French listeners or viewers.
Right. I know.
I'm
Anybody
sorry.
Speaks French. Sorry. Yeah. Or as groundskeeper Willie would say, you cheese-eating surrender monkeys.
No.
That's just me picking on them from fallout from the Olympics last year. But hey, France is coming, man. They're tough. So anyway, but yeah, they waived and stretched Prosper. $1 million a year is the cap hit for Dallas over the next 3 years. A little over $3 million in total dead money over the next 3 seasons because they also have JaVale McGee on the books. So not exactly the way you would want it to go. We'll see. I'm in favor of somebody should give Prosper a flyer deal. Just, hey, what does it look like? Maybe he pops with us in a way couldn't with Dallas, but now they get that little extra guard depth in Exum. Exum hasn't stayed healthy the last 2 seasons, but has played well. Whatever went on when he played for Barcelona and then Partizan over the couple seasons there in the middle of his NBA time, he went back overseas. He discovered a shot. And now all of a sudden that shot works. Still a good ball handler, a good playmaker, so nice combo guard. And that's the more depth you need with Kyrie out and when Kyrie gets back, because he's big enough to play alongside Kyrie too.
Yeah. So that's I do like the going after Exum. I'm curious to see what happens to Omax. If he winds up where he winds up. I think he'll end up somewhere. The shooting hasn't come around for him, but he's still pretty young and he's got the size, I think, on the wing that people are looking for. So curious to see where he ultimately lands. But the Mavs are doing some other things here. I think the Mavs are set up for a very good season. I've got a lot of people that are telling me, oh, no, they can never stay healthy. Yeah, like health obviously will be a concern with this group. But I think this team has the potential to be very, very tough. again, with the big, question mark of can they find health, especially when they get towards the playoffs.
Yeah, and that's like kind of the big one, right? Is like when does Kyrie get back? What does he look like? How long does it take him to ramp up fully to being Kyrie again? But I mean, this team was playing pretty well at times last year, and that was with Luka out of the lineup a lot. Which is now it's kind of where we're at this year. And I'm not suggesting Cooper Flag's going to come in and be the Luka replacement in terms of impact. That would be insane. But I think he's going to be pretty good right out of the gate. I think Dallas is going to be pretty good. If anybody listen to our West tiers, I have them in the playoff mix in the West. And I've seen some people like, yeah, they're going to be, barely a play-in team. Yeah, maybe if guys aren't healthy, sure. But if they're healthy, they should be pretty good.
All right, let's talk a little bit about next up. We've got the Jonathan Kuminga situation in terms of potentially signing the qualifying offer with the Golden State Warriors. So reportedly, where we're at, and it is still a staring contest. This is not a massive earth-shattering update. Oh my gosh, there's been major movement. But effectively, what we're seeing here is the Warriors reportedly digging in, not wanting to give up a team option on the second year of a deal. So their offer right around the 45 million range on a 2-year deal. They want a team option on the second year, and they want Jonathan Kuminga to waive what would be the inherent no trade clause that would come with that contract, because it would be viewed as a 1-year deal, bird rights with it, and all of that, which would be lost if you were to be traded on that. So all of that is designed to make Jonathan Kuminga as tradable as possible. The Warriors potentially wanting to flip Kuminga by the trade deadline and turn him into a piece or pieces that they think will fit better with the club. That appears to be a sticking point currently, with reporting being that Jonathan Kuminga sees himself as a pawn in this and would prefer to not. He would like to get maybe a 3-year deal or maybe a player option on the second year, so that he's got the ability to get out of his contract. If he has a big year, he wants the ability to get out next summer and go hit free agency. And so with the two sides obviously very much disagreeing on this, is the best option for Kuminga simply to take the qualifying offer. He would have a no trade clause at that point, and he would hit free agency next summer, with the downside for him of being that he'd get paid significantly less. He would drop about $14 million on his salary next year, dropping all the way down to about $8 million that he'd be playing for. So that's where this is going. But it feels like with that report that the Warriors are kind of dug in on not giving up that team option, I wonder if that pushes us more towards Kuminga signing the qualifying offer, or if this is just Kuminga kind of his side putting out there like, Warriors, we just might do it. You better come off this stance. We just might do it. We might take the qualifying offer, because him taking that qualifying offer is a big negative for Golden State if he goes that route.
Yeah, and I've heard some people say, well, what if the Warriors decide we're just going to pull it? Well, that's completely losing if you're the Warriors. Then he becomes unrestricted and he'll just go wherever he wants. And any number of teams that still have a sizable enough exception will just lock him in through that at least for a year and figure it out from there. So yeah, it continues to be pretty messy. Like you said, just under $8 million. If he plays out, to be very clear, if he signs the qualifying offer, he gets that no trade, and the Warriors have no say in that. That's not them giving him that. That's just how it works, because to what Trevor had said before, you lose your bird rights if you're traded while on a 1-year deal with bird rights at the end. You drop down. So clearly he's not really going to want to do that. And I think for Kuminga, it's either, hey, give me a long-term deal, or I want the control, not you, or not you or whoever you trade me to, or whatever it is with that. I'll now switch over to me. I think this has gone too far. Like, this is starting to act like Jonathan Kuminga is like a, barely rotation level guy. Like, it's getting silly. I mean, this guy's still a really good scorer in the league. I think he's shown that at moments. Is he a great defender? No. Is he a great rebounder? No. But I think this is good. I personally think both sides need to find something where it's like, get him to another team that really wants him, and let's go from there. Because I just think it's like, this is headed towards a breakup one way or the other, whether it's this year or next. And if he's playing out on any form of 1-year deal, it's probably not going to be good for him or the Warriors, just because then it's going to be a million questions. So let's see where it goes. But yeah, I mean, we're roughly a month out. It's October 1st is the last day to sign the qualifying offer. Otherwise, then that goes away. They can still re-sign with the team, but that's the last day for the player to say, I'm taking it. So the clock is ticking a little bit here.
How do you see this ultimately playing out? Like, it feels like both sides are waiting for the other one to blink, and Kuminga is swearing, "I'll do it. I'll take the qualifying offer." He knows he's got until October 1st to do it, though. So if you're Kuminga, you might as well wait until October 1st, just to see. Like, who knows? Maybe the Warriors will blink and they'll give me more, if that's his plan. If he right now feels like my best option is to take the qualifying offer, you might as well accept it as the buzzer is sounding on October 1st, because you never know. Maybe the Warriors change their mind between now and then, and so he needs to keep threatening to take it. But do you think he'll really do it? Do you think the $14 million he'd be giving up in this 1 year to bet on himself and to have that control is worth it?
Yeah, I think he will. I think if those are the choices, come like you said, and hold out, wait as long as you can until it becomes time to do it or not do it. I think it's the same thing for Quentin Grimes and Cam Thomas. I do think Gideon the Bulls, which sounds like they're so close.
They're not that far apart. That's what I've been saying.
Yeah, what are we doing? Like, just get it done already. I think that one will get done, but it doesn't sound like Kuminga, Grimes, or Thomas are anywhere close with their teams. So for those guys, I think we may see, fairly rare, but I think we may see all three of them sign the qualifying offer and just play out the year.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Let's jump over. Keith, I don't know about you. I have been enjoying EuroBasket.
Yeah, it's great.
There's a number of things I look at with EuroBasket, and I think, God, we need to bring that to the NBA. There's been some really cool stuff that we've been seeing there. I love the way you can hear the officials talking, and when they're going through the review system, I think is much better. I like the live ball on the basket, being able to play that. But the one thing we're all hoping for is no injuries, and unfortunately, we've had a few. Now, Alex Sarr dealing with a calf issue. He is reportedly going to be ready for camp, but the big one is Bogdanovic. I mean, I haven't seen anybody mention the grade, but a hamstring. They're calling it a hamstring tear.
One translation said tear, another translation said rupture.
Right.
Neither of those.
That doesn't sound good.
Yeah. Now the doctors in the audience will chime in and be like, technically every strain is a tear. Like, fully get that. Like, we understand, but if we're using it in the way we use it, that's severe. Like, that's bad. And in the closest one I can remember where they called it a rupture or a severe tear, Chris Middleton a couple years ago, remember, like, tore completely off the bone. His hamstring did, and he missed almost that entire season that year. So I'm nervous about this for Bogdanovic, because it's clearly a big deal. Like, like he's out for the rest of EuroBasket. And on top of that, it was not only is he out, he's already back in the United States to start treatment on it. So let's hope it's something that maybe limits him over the next month or so, and around the start of the season, he's ready to go. But none of this sounds very good.
We're so close, and that's the fear for every NBA team that has players in this tournament, is we are so close to the start of the NBA season. There's just no time. There's no time to recover from this if you suffer any kind of significant injury, because training camps, I mean, we're counting down the weeks until training camp starts up right now. Here we are in September. Now, preseason play, are they going to be worried about missing preseason games? No. So realistically, we've got 6 weeks plus till the actual season starts. So there's a little time there. But if you miss camp, you miss preseason play. Are you really 100% when the season starts? Are you at a full go? If not, are you? And especially we're talking about a guy like Bogdanovic and the Clippers. And obviously we've talked a lot about the Clippers this episode for other reasons, but in the Western Conference, we talk about how close the conference is going to be. And we did our West Tiers episode the other day. We talked about it, like the seeding in the conference could ultimately come down to, a misstep here or there, a turned ankle, something like that could drastically change the standings in the West because things are so compact and so tight.
And Bogdanovich had hamstring issues at the beginning of last year, which cost him a lot of time when he was still with the Hawks. He missed a lot of the early part of the year. So clearly there's a little bit of history here. I'll add it because he was a guy who was in the NBA. Vasily Micic also got hurt for Serbia, which is Serbia was one of the favorites to win the whole thing. And now Bogdanovich is out. I have not seen yet the extent for Micic, but they're still good, obviously. But that hurts them quite a bit. With Sar, it's a calf injury. Again, that's all that's been said is it's a calf injury, but serious enough that he's out for the rest of the tournament. And it's important to know too, shutting a guy down for the rest of this tournament is big. You can't replace him. You can't just then call up the next guy. It doesn't work like that. Then you're just without them. So obviously that's a blow for France that they won't have him. And then you turn to, is that going to be something that impacts him? Josh Robbins, who covers the Wizards for the Athletics, said the team expects him to be full go and the injury will not require any kind of surgery. So that's good news, right? Hopefully be ready because these are for the Wizards. These are important games for them in the preseason where they're going to be playing a lot of young guys. And it's going to be, all right, we want to find out how do these guys mesh together. And obviously Alex Sarr is a big part of that. And then I added Rokas Jokubaitis, who plays for Lithuania. I added him to this. Normally we wouldn't talk about a guy who's not in the NBA, but he's only 24. He's a point guard with pretty good size, about 6'4", 6'5". And the Knicks own his draft rights. No sense he's coming over this year, even anytime soon. He signed with I believe it's Bayern Munich in Germany.
Yeah, you're right.
But he was having an outstanding EuroBasket. He was one of the better guards there, really running that team. That Lithuania team, which people I think know normally has a handful of NBA guys, only has Valanciunas this year. They don't have anybody else on there because Buzelis chose not to play, and then Kasparis Yakushonis chose not to play as well. But Jokubaitis, severe ligament injury. That's all that's been said. Bayern Munich was the ones who released that, and potential meniscus injury as well. So chance that he's out for the year. And when you're 24, you miss a year, that starts to turn into you're probably not ever really going to be an NBA guy.
Right. So unfortunate there. The EuroBasket tournament has been excellent.
Yeah, let's end with a positive. It's been really fun.
It's so fun. There's been some great games. You've got guys play. I mean, Lauri Markkanen, I think, has been phenomenal. He's looking great. That's exciting for Utah moving forward. I thought Gershon Yabusele, he went for 36.
Yeah.
Was that yesterday? I don't know. Time has no meaning, but that was awesome. There's some big time performances that are going on in Europe. So if you are missing,
I just want to shout it out. Great Britain got a win this morning over Montenegro, which is big. They don't have any NBA players on the Great Britain team. Vooch went crazy at 31 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists, shot 12 of 18. But Great Britain, kind of shot the lights out, throughout the course of it, and it ended up winning the game, which is big for them. They've historically not done well in this tournament. So, shout out to them. We've got, I don't know if anybody clinched spot, but we did have 12 of the 16 spots were spoken for going into today in the knockout round.
Yeah. So that's where we're headed, is the knockout round. I think things are going to continue to be exciting as we get into that. Then we get into the single elimination. Going to be a lot of fun. But EuroBasket has been a blast.
The crowds are amazing too. The crowds are
the crowds are awesome. The crowds are awesome. I was last night I flipped on while I was doing some other stuff. The WWE's recent event at it was Clash in Paris.
I heard that, and I was nuts.
I was just like, oh my God, this crowd, the US crowds get into it. They're singing along with the songs and all that stuff. But listening to that crowd in Paris, I went, oh my God, yep, this is like the soccer culture, the whole crowd singing, all that kind of stuff. It was so noticeable. And the crowds in EuroBasket are the same way. It's like they are so into it. It's very, very cool to see. Yeah. That said, Keith, this is like EuroBasket is awesome, but it's like 80% scratching the itch for NBA basketball. It's not quite doing. I need
We're
NBA
almost there.
basketball
We're
back. That's why I'm
almost
excited. It's September.
Yeah, by the time you get back from your vacation, we'll basically be there.
It'll be right
So
there.
that's the good news.
It'll be right there. Let's go. All right, everybody. Appreciate all of you for joining the show. Give us your thoughts in the comment section if you're over on YouTube. If you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts, please make sure you do follow us, give us that 5-star rating and review. Till next time, everybody. See ya and stay safe.